So let's get right into it. Let's bring him on the call, Mr. Devin Roche. How you doing today?
Really good. It's a beautiful day. Can't complain.
Awesome, man. So Devin, look, we've got viewers at home that have sort of come across this business opportunity, building a brand on Amazon. Why don't we start? When did you get started with selling on Amazon?
Yeah, for sure. So, my wife and I, we got started back in 2014, and it's kind of a funny story. I'll kind of give a little bit of background, but so I had always had a desire to be an entrepreneur and do something, a business of my own, but, went to college and studied finance and accounting and, started my career off in that. And I'll be honest, like I was a terrible employee, hated pretty much every job that I ever had because I just felt bored all the time. And like, I wasn't, able to really realize my, the creativity that I had. And so initially when I found out about selling on Amazon at the time, I was working my day job and I was also, trying to do a network marketing, MLM business. And it wasn't, the right fit for me, but my thought was, what, maybe I can sell on Amazon and do well enough there to leave my day job and do my, multi-level marketing business full time. That was the thought process I had. And, here I am in the future and I don't do that at all and love, the business that my wife and I run together. Interestingly enough, we launched our first product while we were on our honeymoon in Curacao. So.
Wow, that's an awesome story.
What's interesting about your business, oftentimes when people are looking for products, a lot of them are really afraid of, picking a product. Do I pick a product that's seasonal or anything? You actually have been able to build a very successful business on a seasonal product, or seasonal products, correct?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that, like what your brand is? I mean, you've got a great brand, nothing to be ashamed of there. It's a beautiful brand. You've done a great job. Maybe talk a little bit about it, what you've been able to build.
Yeah, definitely. So, so our company is called Grillaholics, and we focus primarily on barbecue accessories and things around barbecue. So obviously, barbecue is very seasonal. We have big lift in the summer around Father's Day and, grilling, quote unquote, grilling season. Although, as a grillaholic, I would say I grill year round. But then, there's also kind of a slow in the fall and then it picks up again into the holidays, right? So, with that always comes some cash flow challenges as far as like you're trying to build up inventory in your slow times of the year. And then, there's kind of like, oh man, sales are slowing. Like, is that because of my competitors or is it just the time of the season, right? So those are kind of the mental games that I'm always playing. But really it's like making sure that we're, always planning for those peak times and ready to go, and then make sure that we hit it hard during those times.
Very cool. And, just before we move on, how is your business doing right now? How much yearly revenue are you generating?
Yeah, things are great. So, we should pass 3 million this year in annual revenue. So.
Congratulations. Cool.
Yeah, so it's never as big as you want it to be, but hey, it's like, that's the dilemma of being an entrepreneur. So
Lots of opportunity for growth though. Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, let's talk about the Inc. 5000 list. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And what's really nice to see, Devin, is how passionate you are about your brand. You talk about it openly. You're an ambassador of your own brand. For the viewers at home that maybe don't know what the Inc. 5000 list is, can you just explain like the substance behind that?
Yeah. So basically the Inc. 5000 is like the 5,000 fastest growing private companies in the United States.
Wow.
And so it's measured on like revenue growth over a 3-year period.
And you landed what, position 811 in the top 5. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Like just hands down, it's impressive. What's that done for sort of your mindset around building this business and what impacts it had on the brand and what other doors and opportunities that opened for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's like, any PR is always good, right? So that's definitely, kind of one thing that we can help put behind the brand. It does kind of give you a broader focus, right? Like when you're getting started or you're early on in your business and, you're really focused on products and, trying to expand your line and things like that. It's a different mindset than, trying to go to, like a national corporation type size or something like that. Right. And not saying that we're there, but it makes you think about like, okay, what would it take? What would we need to get in place to kind of transition to, to being a much bigger company?
Absolutely. And I saw that it was based on an award of year-on-year growth over 3 years, wasn't it? What was that year-on-year growth in the business?
So I have to look back at the exact percentage, but basically our first full year we did about 450,000 in sales.
Yeah.
Our second year was like 1.2, and then our third year was 2.6. So
Wow.
That's consecutively 500% plus. That's very cool. Awesome. So, everyone that's here right now knows that you're going to reveal 3 secrets. So let's get right into that. What are the 3 secrets that you have to share for, helping people create $1 million brand?
Yeah. So it's funny because when it comes to selling on Amazon or e-commerce, there's always going to be strategy and tactics, right? And everybody wants to learn, what's the newest hack that's going to take things to the next level? But in reality, it's like those things are, they're great, but they shouldn't be what you build your business on, right? So the first thing to me, and what we've really always focused on, is making the customer our number one priority, right? We've always said, we're going to deliver amazing customer service and support, and always deliver an excellent customer experience, right? So every time somebody gets one of our products, we want them to really love it and have like this kind of wow factor with it, right? And I feel like, especially if you're just getting started, it's really easy to make the focus on like, hey, I want to start a business, I want to sell a product, right? And you forget that you're selling a product to people. And so it needs to be about the value that you're bringing to their lives, right? Like, sure, people need to buy things, but like, if they're going to buy your thing, it needs to really give them value. Otherwise, how do you really separate yourself from anybody else?
Awesome. And that, I'm just so glad that you kicked that off with the first one, because over and over again, the successful sellers that we've associated with and we've been able to teach all have done the same thing, where number one, the customer has to be your focus. I mean, at the end of the day, the customer is the one that pays the bills. And if you make a great relationship with them, and especially when you're building a brand, because a happy customer becomes a repeat customer. So it's just such long-term thinking. That's awesome. I don't know if you have anything.
No. I mean, we always talk about putting the customer first, building quality into your brand, building it from the customer's perspective. And I think, Devin, the fact that you just came out with that as the number one point really drives that point home. Hitting the Inc. 5000 list, building a $3 million company really speaks to the power of it. And it's often something that people just sort of overlook, or maybe think, yeah, I'll do that. But it really is sort of the foundation of success, isn't it? So that's really great to hear.
And it really does, make its way through everything you do.
Yeah.
When you're focused on the customer first, they feel it. And when you're focusing on money first, they feel that. So
and I do have actually one question, Devin. How's that then showing up in sort of your Amazon product reviews? How's that giving you an advantage over your competition? Has that showed up like tangibly in the business?
Yeah. So and maybe this will be one of the kind of hacks that comes from this one, but early on, we would actually write our customers handwritten thank you notes. And so, that did a lot of things. One, it helped us get more reviews, but 2, you'd be surprised how many of our reviews are, I got this, handwritten thank you note from, Grillaholics, and they, you just don't see that kind of service anymore. There's been, oftentimes my wife, Katie, she, handles a lot of our customer service and really, deals directly with the customer. And, there's so many times where people are talking about, Katie took care of my issue, and it was so great to have such great customer experience. So I think that definitely shows up.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool. All right, man, treat us to number 2. What's your second tip?
So my second thing, and this was really important for me early on, is to always be learning, always reinvesting into yourself and learning new things. Like I said, I came from a corporate background, finance and accounting. I really knew nothing about selling online or e-commerce or Amazon or any of those things, right? And so it was like, once I got the foundation, there's still more you can always learn, right? So it's, whether it's learning about Facebook or email or, all these things, or, optimizing your conversion rate, like there's just so many cool things that you can learn. And what I've found is the times that I'm always investing into that learning are the times when I'm growing the most. And when I get too busy and, don't have time to continue to invest in myself, those are the times where things start to kind of stall a little bit, or, I start feeling, maybe a little bit, less hopeful, or just things weigh me down more because I'm not thinking as creatively.
So on that point, Devin, I mean, there's so much sort of information out there, and you've got to get the balance between learning and then implementing what you've learned, so you don't end up in that vicious cycle of just continuous learning. How do you prioritize, one, who you listen to, the training that you take, and then two, how do you balance that with the implementation of what you've just learned?
Right. So I think, I guess I will say I am a little bit biased. Like, obviously, I went through some of the amazing course material early on, and that was really my foundation. So, shameless plug there. It was definitely instrumental in learning the foundation of Amazon. But from there, it's kind of like, making sure that you get in with like experts within their subject matter, right? So, I remember my first live event, and Ezra Firestone was on stage talking about sales funnels, and I was like, what is going on here? But at the same time, I was like, okay, I know that if I learn more from this guy, then, I can understand sales funnels and things like that, right? So I've always kind of said, well, what do I need most right now? And then who is one of the best people in that area, or who provides great information on that? And then I dig into that deeper and try to prioritize that, whether it's a quarterly objective or a monthly objective, and, kind of base it off of that.
Yeah, there's no doubt, like being a student, a constant student is critical for success. You look at any uber successful person and they'll tell you, like, whether it's they're reading books or going to workshops or anything like that, I mean, it's instrumental. And I mean, I remember you early on too, when you joined ASM and involved in the community. I mean, you're always sharing as well too, and you could tell you were definitely a student to learn. But one of the things I always admired of you too is you're always willing to share and help others out too. So that's very cool. Good. All right, man, what's that?
I said it's give and take.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for number 3?
So for number 3, it was kind of like a good segue from the last thing, right? So my third thing is surround yourself with great people. And so I think, kind of in that vein of always learning and being an entrepreneur, early on in your journey, there's kind of this, like, you're doing everything, right? Like, you're learning it, you're doing it. And so then you're kind of like, if it's going to happen, I got to do it, right? And so one of the things, like, that'll get you to a point, but then you kind of plateau. And if you want to grow past that, like, you have to get help. Like, you can't do it all yourself. There's not enough hours in the day. There's too many things to focus on. You can't do it, right? So to me, the next important thing, or I should say the third important thing, is making sure that, you're always trying to find somebody that has experience to do the thing that you're trying to do next, right? So, early on in our business journey, we were bringing on people right out of college, and, basically we're limited to teaching them what I knew how to do, right? Which, is great. But if you're trying to go from just getting started to, doubling your business, really you need somebody that can do it without you teaching them how to do it, right? So to me, that was a huge learning curve. And once I figured that out, now we're starting to focus on building our team and really getting, the right people to help with the right things.
Cool. So I just want to recap the 3 things that you said. Number 1, I believe that you said is, wait, did I get that right? Is it always be a student?
Make the customer number
That's
1.
right. It was number 1. Make the customer number 1. And then number 2 is always be a student. Then number 3 is surround yourself with the right people.
Oh, yeah.
And there's that old saying, you represent the 5 most common people that you surround yourself with. And definitely 100% that's so true. I found, and what it means, it doesn't mean for those listening that you need to ignore your friends. It means if you're focused, for example, if you want to get in shape and you're just hanging around with people that love to eat pizza and cheeseburgers and not work out, it's going to be hard. But when you hang around with people that are constantly focused on health, just inherently you'll start doing that. The same thing with business. When you're focused on people that are passionate about this business, passionate about what they're doing, you'll just inherently start doing those things. So it's so powerful. Awesome. Great 3 tips.
And I can talk to that. I mean, in my own journey as well, I found that if I surround myself not only with like-minded people, but often people that I can help, but they're ahead of me in what I need, then it's the fastest way to success, because you just shortcut all of that expense, not just monetary, time investment, all the mistakes that you could have made. You can learn from that person to your right hand side, and then you can help them with something that maybe you're good at as well. So I'm a big believer in that.
And that's one of the reasons to me in Sell Machine as well too, that we're so passionate about community, because it's like you have to be surrounded with people, because, you know, especially, I mean, you sit there and you work from your home, right?
Yep.
You know, and so you got to admit, after a while, if you're not associating with other people, it can be lonely.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you start kind of going down like paths that maybe you shouldn't. So by associating with those people, it helps keep you in line. And when things get rough too, it helps lift you up, because you can talk to people and say, hey, I'm struggling with this right now. What do you think? And it's amazing how many times those things come up and they're common. Yeah. And you think it's just to you, but all of a sudden everyone else, oh, no, I've been there. No worries. So
definitely. Yeah, I try to make it a point to go to as many live events as I can, because it's such a great opportunity to really recharge the batteries. Like it's, you know, so many ideas come in and it's like you get those start to get shut off when you're not surrounding yourself with those other people.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Devin, look, if you could go back to the start of your journey, you're in the phase of just discovering this business, you're thinking, well, what product should I sell? If you could tell yourself one thing back in time, what would that one thing be?
Yeah. So I might actually give you two things, but
okay,
so
cool.
The first thing is definitely is like test small and test fast, right? Yeah. You know, some of the like, you know, biggest mistakes or challenges that I had were times when I was like, oh man, you know, I know this product is going to be an amazing product, and so I'm going to put all this time and effort into developing the packaging and the product and all these things. And then you put it out there and it's like, oh, it doesn't sell the way I thought it would. And, you know, I have like a lot of units and now I got to figure out how to move those, you know, versus like kind of listening to the market and putting something out there and then making small adjustments over time to get it to be the perfect product. Because the reality is the customer will tell you what they want and the things that they like or don't like that you can always improve upon.
You know, and I just want to add on that, because it's so true. When you're starting a business, I mean, you want to start it with as minimal risk as possible. And even if you put all that time and money in branding, the fact that you're starting with such a small amount, that little bit of branding for your first product is not going to make a big impact. Now, obviously, once it starts selling, you want to really refine that brand. But, you know, it's all about just fast getting it to market. And I think, you know, the secret of that is just making sure you're starting with a good product, you know, and if it's a good product, good customer service and all of that kind of stuff, and it sells, well, that's when you start reinvesting, improving it, and building a beautiful brand like you've done. Cool.
Yeah.
I think to that point as well, Devin, I really like how you said like test fast. I often find that success is built on a pile of failures, and the faster you can build that pile of failures, the faster you're going to be successful. Yes. I absolutely love that point, and that's something I've only realized really in the last couple of years myself. Yes. So great advice there, Devin. Okay, second point.
Yeah, and then the other thing is just to have fun and enjoy the journey, right? So there's like, as entrepreneurs, we're often like comparing ourselves to other people, right? And, you know, I have so many friends that sell on Amazon and do the e-commerce game. And it's so, you know, easy to be like, man, you know, they're selling 10 million a year. Like, I wish I was doing that now. And, you know, thinking, well, maybe I should do what they're doing. And the reality is like, there's always going to be somebody that's growing bigger or faster or whatever, but there's nothing wrong with what you're currently doing. And it's part of your journey. And it's like, enjoy the journey and don't make it about the destination. And like, things are so much better that way.
Yeah, use it for inspiration. That's beautiful. And it is. It's a killer. I mean, I suffer with that a lot of times. You'll see someone report something, and then it almost makes you shift. And then what happens is you just end up dropping what you're doing, and it'll actually cause you to have worse results. And it's funny you say that. You know, you have a $3 million a year business, and you're like, oh, I'm not doing good enough. It's like, that's horrible. I mean, you should be rejoicing. And obviously always trying to do better, but taking that moment to really appreciate what you've done. So that's awesome. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, any closing remarks that you have for, you know, the viewers that we have right now? That's been great advice so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I think ultimately it's like, you know, be willing to take a chance on yourself. You know, every great thing comes from getting started, and, you know, that is definitely something that you can do, and, you know, go for it. It's like, I don't know. I look back and think to myself, if I hadn't started, you know, trying to sell on Amazon and started this business, like where I would be. And the reality is I'd still be sitting in a cubicle. I would be, you know, miserable at my day job. And it just like, I wouldn't have, the relationships, the, control of my time, and just the ability to do the things that I get to do now, if I hadn't.
Yeah, that's amazing, Devin. I'm really glad to hear it, buddy. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah. So if you haven't already, for those watching, if you want to watch our other live training that we've done, you go to AmazingLiveNow.com/free. We've got free training. And if you want to learn more about the Amazing Selling Machine, check out AmazingSellingMachine.com, where you can learn about this business model and so much more. So I don't know, do you have anything else to add?
No, just thank you for coming, Devin. Always inspirational. Congratulations on the Inc. 5000. That's absolutely amazing.
Oh, and congratulations. You also said, so we're talking about the Inc. 5000, but also even in your hometown in St. Louis. Tell us about that. There was also something else that happened.
Yeah, so we were number 13 fastest growing private company in the St. Louis area.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a good year.
All right. Very cool, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Say hello to your lovely wife from us, and we'll talk to you all later.
See you later, guys.